Welcome back to another exciting MPJ rock album review show where we review the latest rock albums. Welcome to my panel, to Ian, to Dave, to Paul and to Chris. Welcome guys, welcome to the show!
Hey, welcome.
Hey. Okay, what's the show all about? We review the latest rock albums released in August, and we put them head to head in a battle of the album. Which one would we buy? Where would we spend our hard-earned cash on buying as a group? We'll rate them out of 5 for our listening pleasure. Will they score high enough? 20 plus gets into our MPJ Hall of Fame, and if they really score really high, they could actually then get into our top 10 albums. Or, if they're in the Hall of Fame, they might even get a wild card into our Album of the Year show, which is fast coming up in December. We're in that last fill on now. Who are we reviewing today? We are reviewing Prime Creation and Tell Freedom I Said Hello, and Unity, which is their album, The Hellish Joyride. So, who are these bands? Well, let's have a find out, shall we? So, I'll find my notes here. Prime Creation, Tell Freedom. So, Prime Creation is a Swedish metal band formed in 2005 and consists of skilled and experienced musicians driving modern hard driving metal. Kim Arnell on drums, Ramia Tamario rhythm guitar. Turn the page over. Essa Englund on vocals, Robin Arnell on lead guitar, and Henrik Weindal on bass guitar. We are back in Sweden. Let's go to our resident Swedish-looking guy, Ian. Let's start with you then. With Prime Creation. What did you think? Tell Freedom I Said Hello. Are we saying hello to freedom here, my friend?
We definitely said hello to freedom, that's for sure. I found this album to be seriously good heavy metal. Absolutely seriously good heavy metal. There was the dramatic and glorious polyphonic build-up in the opening track that bleeds into the delectable second track, Promised Land, and I think that is fantastic when bands do that opening track that just bleeds straight into another, and when that's done well, that really just hooks you. I think it really grabs you, but it's so easy to get wrong. I think we've heard on quite a few albums where it's wrong, but these guys get it absolutely right. So seriously good heavy metal with its own identity and sound. My only criticism is that it's really good, but it's also really repetitive. It's really good, but really repetitive. It's really good, but really repetitive. And that's just how I felt.
Sorry, mate, I didn't quite catch that. Could you?
Yeah, what I said was it's really good, but really repetitive. I mean, can you get enough of a good thing? Yes, you can. There needs to be a decent amount of variety if you're going to do that. Even if you're doing like a theme and then slight variations on a theme, or you get some sort of concept album, that you need that. And there was just a feel. I didn't get a feel of originality. It just felt like a facsimile of previous tracks, is what I really thought it was. They also facsimile quite a lot of the genre in there as well. Have that been said, I still enjoyed it. I still really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Standout tracks for me were State Dominion and Dystopia. Both just absolutely blew me away. So would have loved to have heard more variety in there. Really enjoyed what I heard, but it was repetitive.
So, moving on then, somebody that we won't accuse of being repetitive and that we enjoy listening to. Dave?
Yeah, I mean this isn't my taste at all. And like with a lot of power metal albums, I'm not saying this is power metal, but I mean has the same problem that I have with a lot of power metal albums in that it's got a very theatrical feel and I feel it almost needs to be an accompaniment to a stage show of some sort to really get the full effect. And sometimes just the music on its own just doesn't really do it for me. That being said, I can see why this would appeal. There's some great rock and metal riffs throughout. The vocals, very decent standard. They do mix it up at times, but like Ian said, not enough for my liking. It does become very samey. It's not something I could see myself coming back to, but if you're into this sort of rock, I'm sure that you really enjoy this because it's a really solid effort.
So, Chris, we're obviously discovering your journey. We're discovering what your likes and dislikes are. Was this up your alley? Was this a hello to freedom?
Yes, and unfortunately no. So, as we said, it's a cracking album, really good to listen to. But there are some points where you're like, am I towards the beginning of this album? Am I towards the end? Which song is this? Because they all kind of sound similar. As Ian said earlier on, Tell Freedom I Said Hello, their intro track, I originally thought, intro track, really? But then it does bleed perfectly into, Promised Land and taking you forward into the rest of the album. I also think, My Last Farewell, which is towards the end of the album, was an excellent song. But again, can you pick out where you are in an album? Is there a journey you're going through or anything like that? Or is it all kind of similar? And I think this kind of hits the same notes all the way through, just in terms of, it's... They're on a line. They haven't really deviated from it, and they are, doing the same stuff through all the songs. Not a bad album in any way, shape, or form, but yeah, it's good but similar.
Paul, talk to me. Prime Creation.
Yeah, I think there's a similar message running through you. I just can't work it out, but
I've not quite put my finger on it, but
no.
Repetitive.
All right, okay. I think that's
that's not it.
Right.
No, that's not it. No, thanks, Ian, but no, I don't think that was it. Paul.
No, I can't work it out either. Anyway, Sweden's prime creation are a power band with a modern twist. Let's get this out the way. Tell Freedom I Said Hello wins the album title award by a country mile. I love it for this month anyway. It's the first album since the pandemic and is a thematic conceptual album where the 10 tracks explore different aspects of a dystopia while not overtaxing the listener to endure unraveling what the hell is going on. As such, is a darker offering from Prime Creation, but not too dark to be depressing, and it has a rich and fat production. This is a really good album. The only issue is that it just doesn't stand out from a very saturated market and against the band that they've been teamed up against.
Oh, really? Well, we'll find out a little bit more about that. I tend to agree with everything that's kind of said, really. I think it was, as a conceptual album, you need to kind of immerse yourself into it. And the only time, and bizarrely was an odd one, I'm reading a book, it's a final book of 10 by an author called Essermont, and Stephen Erickson is the author, and it came to the last book, and the hero army is marching through the wasteland, and so I could transport myself because I'm actually reading something that they're journeying through a wasteland, and the lyricism could have been written about this particular story that I was actually reading for, and therefore, it demonstrated to me that you have to immerse yourself into that story to kind of not become a facsimile, not to become, and I thought that was difficult if you didn't really know what they were kind of trying to sing in about, but incredibly theatrical. I'm verging on power metal without it being power metal. It did stay in that kind of heavy metal kind of, but it did verge on power metal because it was actually a theatrical album. But I agree. I thought it was a really solid. I think the musicianship, the production, everything was fantastic. There just wasn't quite. You need something if you're going to verge into that sort of power metal, but not power. You need to be a bit more catchy. You need to have some more catch to kind of take you along there. But immersive album, terrific effort, but was it good enough? I think I agree with Paul. I think that it's, but it was solid. We solidly, myself and Trish both solidly enjoyed this album without it setting the world on fire. But yeah, it's good, really good. Okay, well, Paul mentioned about who they're up against. Really, let's find out, shall we? Unity and their album Hellish Joyride. Will it be a Hellish Joyride? So, Unity, well, after their first three successful albums, Unity in 2017, Rise in 2018, Pride in 2020, and the following live album, Devil You Know, the power metalers of Unity report back impressively with their new studio album, The Hellish Joyride. Gamma Ray members Honcho Richter and Michael Airy drums have once again done a decent job alongside singer Guilherme Manatti, guitarist Steph and keyboard Sasha Omen, and newcomer Tobias Eggy XL bass guitar. Fits seamlessly into the Unity entity. Really? Let's find out, shall we? Dave, was this a hellish joyride for you, my friend?
No, not at all. I found this very, very middle of the road. In fact, I found it very difficult to even come up with anything to say about this album because it was just meh. There are some good moments. Always Two Ways to Play. Really enjoyed that, but it's equally there's just a lot of filler in there that just is average at best. I mean, musically it's okay. You know, there's sort of hard rock elements, some sort of, a little bit of shred, maybe a little bit of power metal influence in there, but only a little bit. I did find myself losing interest very quickly. I had it on as sort of just background noise, and I didn't even notice it had finished. I think it was a good 10-20 minutes after it had finished before I actually registered that it had finished, because I just wasn't paying any attention to it at all. It's not something I'm likely to come back to. It's just very forgettable for me.
Well, I tell you who's somebody who's not forgettable, and that's our newcomer Chris. Chris, talk to me. Hellish Joyride. Let's hopefully put Dave in his place, or not. You're on mute, Chris. Schoolboy error. These newbies, come along.
I know, right? It's not like I work with computers or anything. Leave me alone.
I know, right?
But yeah, no. So I do kind of have to disagree with this one. So yeah, the Unity. I can kind of see where Dave's coming from in terms of there's a lot of other people doing similar sort of music, but just in terms of the effort that they seem to be putting into playing their instruments and singing their songs, just there's a lot of power in there in what they're trying to do. But kind of similar, yeah, it doesn't stand out for me as an album that I will be going back to and listening to again. The Unity I will listen to, but the album itself, again, just kind of doesn't stand out as I'm going to be going back and listening to this again and again. So yeah, I'm kind of on the fence on this one. I will listen to it, and I won't turn it off if it comes on, but I wouldn't probably choose to put it on myself.
Wow. Paul, will you put some sanity back into this? Come on. A Hellish Joyride.
Very nice. Unity blend power metal and hard rock. And for the fourth album, we're invited to jump on board on what can be called a roller coaster of a metal ride. The album kicks off with Masterpiece, which is a real headbanger of a track, and to me it sounded a cross between Magnum and Iron Maiden. This is quickly followed up by its title track that for me steals the show, a Hellish Joyride. If we had a lot more time than we have, I would go over all the tracks. The hard rock tracks like Never Forget and Line and Sinker will put a smile on your face. There's a lot of variety that the band play around with, and on the first listen you do wonder what on earth you're going to be listening to next, including Saints and Sinners, which starts up with a sped up version from the theme from The Exorcist. Repeated listens smooth out the highs and lows, but this is an album that you can put on and listen straight through without skipping through less favourable tracks. And just enjoy the ride.
You mentioned Magnum, you're right. Ian, what about you, my friend?
Well, again, me and Chris seem to disagree here. Me and David disagreeing. Are we talking about the same album? I believe we are, because the words that have been said are, but oh my word, Hellish Joyride. Wow. What a joyride. And yeah, it was absolutely hellish. You know, Hellish is filled with guitars, with drums, with rock. We're constantly barraged that the devil knows how to rock. And well, the opener, One World, was just a great build-up track. And what I thought that the Unity did really well in this album, and is so hard to do well, and maybe others will disagree, but is they take songs you're really familiar with in terms of structure and do their own thing with it. And this build-up in the track was very much like, was it Blink 182 did Welcome to the Black Parade?
No.
My Chemical Romance.
My Chemical Romance, that's it. It was very it had that feel to it, building up. I just wish, was it Paul, you said that track 3, Hellish Joyride, was absolutely fantastic track. I just wish they built it up and then cut into the Hellish Joyride rather than Masterpiece. Masterpiece is a great song. I just think that the Hellish Joyride was a better to cut into, with its super strong intro in there as well, building up, and then changing to that diminished chord. I'd like to introduce you to a guy that I follow on YouTube called Charles Cornell, and he is the master of knowing chord structures. And if you want to really find out, listen to that guy. He would have a whole YouTube on this album, a whole looking at this album and just discussing the way they're using chords in this. And I think that is why they take the themes you're used to hearing, or very familiar, but do their own thing with it. And that really is epitomised in the song track 6, Something Good. To use the same drum pattern of such an iconic song like Wake Me Up When September Comes, exactly the same drum pattern, but yet create your own feel to something, is really hard. And the guitars in the background of that, if you ever seen Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, when they finally go to heaven and they hear the most beautiful music playing in the background, they got music akin to that in the background there. The beautiful rock operatic feel to track 4, Only the Good Die Young, really enjoyed that. And just the whole thing. Going back to Something Good, with the drum pattern, this is their war cry. This is the song that they're going to get everyone going on live. This is probably going to be their last, their final encore track, I would guess. Or it's that boost me, pick me up right in the middle of the set track. I would love to go and see these. Awakening track 8, it's got hints of the Avengers theme in it, but again keeps to itself. Just
I'm getting a hint here that you. I get just a small hint that you love this album.
I'm not sure.
Right,
I think he's on the fence.
It was all right. Yeah, it was all right. and Golden Sun, just epic. And the final thing I'm going to say about this is album of the year for me.
Whoa! Will it? No, mate. Will it get into Hall of Fame? Will it
3 out of 5 for Ian then?
Yeah. Will it get to Hall of Fame? What did I think? Yeah, I thought this was I think it was an absolute cracker an album. I think I agree. Something Good was the standout track for me as well. So that kind of made my cool playlist. The only and Paul mentioned Magnum, and I think there was a song in there that I felt I was listening to Magnum, and obviously Magnum, one of my all-time favourite bands. So yeah, from the '80s, I thought that was. I almost felt it was, it was Magnum singing this song. So I think that was maybe the only issue that I had with the album, is that there on some tracks I felt that that it was a little bit there was a little bit. I'd heard it before. That was my only minor criticism about this album. But when you play this genre, you have to do it well, and these guys did it phenomenally well. Really, 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 really good. Trish adored this album. I think she would be in the Ian camp on this score. It wasn't perfect, but it was brilliant. I think that's absolutely. I think I'm probably on the same level as kind of Paul in that degree as well. So absolutely terrific. So we don't care what David Cully say. We don't care. Does the opinion matter? Unfortunately, yes, it does matter because it's all about whether it comes together. Let's find out. Let's get to the voting here as well from Prime Creation. Ian, let's start with you then. Prime Creation.
So Prime Creation for me scored 4 out of 5.
4 out of 5. Dave.
2.5.
2.5 out of 5. Chris.
It's a 4 for me as well.
4. Ooh. Paul.
3.5.
3.5. Oh, this is going to be close. Combined score from me and Trish was a 4. So we're looking at 12. We're looking at 15, 16, 18. 18. That's a really solid score. Doesn't quite hit our Hall of Fame, but it gets damn close. Certainly in her. I mean, because this is like the 266 album review, so I think it's going to get top 100. Let's go to Unity. Let's start off with the big one then, shall we? Ian.
Shocker, 5 out of 5.
5 for Ian, 5 for Ian. Dave.
1.5.
Oh, you scum. I love you. Cully.
No, it was a 3 for me. It's not 1.5 territory. It wasn't my thing, but it was definitely something that you can have on in the back when you listen.
Reasonable man there, Dave. Reasonable. He's a reasonable man. Paul.
It's a 5 from me.
5. Get in. Get in. 5. Paul, what's happened? We've got a different Paul on the show. 2 5s. 2 5s this month. It's absolutely shocking.
Like I said, I wasn't going to go over every track, but unfortunately, Ian did go over every track.
I had noticed, Paul. I had noticed, but so we are looking. Oh, it's going to be super close, isn't it? I think Dave. I think you're going to be scum here, Dave. So I think 14.5, 17.5, 18, 19.
What did you give it a 5 as well? Did you then? I assume.
I give it a 4.5.
A 4.5.
I give it a 4 and just give it a 4.5. So we settled on 4.5 actually. So smack bang in the middle. So yeah. So
I think
14.5.
I think that is Paul's 5th 5.
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm in shock. There we go. So, just check the score. 14.5, 17.5, 18, 19. Right, let's check it. So, me and Trish would buy Unity. Chris would buy Prime. Dave would buy Prime. Paul would buy Unity. And Ian would buy Unity. So, Unity wins the battle of this particular band. But, I mean, both scored 18. Both scored 19. Both big scores. Great albums. Congratulations to both of them. Thank you very much. If you like what you've heard today, if you agree or disagree, please leave your comments. Hit the like and subscribe button, and please send boos and hisses to Dave, and that'd be great. Thank you very much. But no, genuinely, it's all about listening pleasure when it all comes together. That's when a band gets into our Hall of Fame. But we've all got to like it. So thank you to my crew today. Thanks to Dave. Thanks to Chris. Thanks to Paul. And thanks to Ian. Goodbye. Keep on rocking out there, and please keep safe. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Like and subscribe.
Adios.